Hello and welcome, friends. Today's workout is all about stretch and release in our hip area. I'm excited that you've joined me. I think you're going to really recognize the benefit from today's workout to just loosen and lubricate our hip joints so that they are mobile and ready for the adventures of life. That's why we keep working out, so we can keep active and do the things we love to do. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, here we are. We're going to start off with our feet wide and our knees bent. Our arms are back supporting us, and we can lean back just to be more comfortable. We're going to bring our knees over to one side. We're going to try to lay our knees down on the floor. Good, so it's a big stretch in one hip, a little less in the other. We let those knees come on up. We're just going to roll over to the other hip, trying to drop the knees and that whole lower part of the leg down to the ground or the mat. Good, so just rotating through our hips. It feels like a fairly big stretch for me. How does it feel for you? You guys can leave me comments. Let me know what you think about this workout, and just see if you feel like you've benefited after you've completed the workout. It is all about lubricating our hip joints, finding greater mobility to move through our hips so that we can take on all the adventures of life that we want to do, whatever that might be. Loosened, mobile hips are a very good thing. So that's what we'll be working on. So it won't feel as much as like a, it's not going to be like a cardio workout, but it is definitely going to be stretch and release. So what we'll do is we'll let our knees land over to one side, and we're just going to adjust our position a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and slide myself over to the edge of my mat, and I've got my front leg in a 90-degree bend, and my back leg, I'm going to bring it to a 90-degree bend. So with this, I'm leaning over a little bit to the side. I'm going to try to help support myself in a lifted position, a little bit of a squeeze here in the side obliques and in the glute. Good. What I'm going to do is try to hinge forward from the hips and heavy my front knee down to the ground. Are you feeling that release in your hips as you lean forward? And we hang out here for a breath, and then we're going to raise ourselves back up. Fresh inhale. Let's go ahead and exhale and hinge forward into that. Thinking heavy knee. You could even put a little weight on that knee if you want to, however you'd like to support yourself. Inhale back up. We're going to go ahead and lean forward one more time. I'm looking for a neutral spine. And if you can tell that my spine is neutral and I'm hinging at the hips more than curling over. If I arch over, I'm not getting the same kind of a stretch that I'm really looking for in that glute and hip joint. Good, and lifting up, and let's do one more little stretch forward here. Hinging, heavying that knee, rotating that knee out and down. That's what it is. It's a big knee hip rotation out to the side. And we're going to lift ourselves up here. Great work. So we're going to take this back leg, and our goal here is going to be to raise the heel up. Good. So this hip is rotating forward, squeezing the glute to raise the heel up. Fresh breath, we exhale and rotate. See if we can hold it up here for a few seconds. Time under tension, looking to gain some mobility here and some strength. Yes, that glute, do you feel that glute turning on? For sure. Release. And one more time, we're gonna rotate and lift that foot up. Yeah, keep it there, hold, and release. Excellent. So we're just going to bring our legs back forward a little bit more, and we're going to do a couple more rotations side to side, rotating through those hips and knees. Good, and then the next time our knees end up over at the other side, right here we're going to hold. And we're just going to tweak our position, making sure we're in the proper alignment. So I'm seated on the edge of my mat, and I've got a 90-degree-ish bend in my front leg and about 90 in my back leg, and that makes it a little hard to sit up tall. So you could add a little hand support here if you want to. Inhaling tall with a straight spine. Exhaling, hinging forward, looking to heavy that front knee in that rotation out to the side. Externally rotating that knee, heavying it down, looking for the neutral spine, and that gets a little deeper stretch. Good, we raise it up, fresh inhale. Exhale to hinge forward. Beautiful work. And it is work, and if you're doing it, you're feeling it, I'm sure you are. Good, we're looking for a big stretch release in that glute, and then rotating out in that front hip and knee. Lifting up, exhaling forward. One thing I didn't mention is that if you need a little support under you, you could sit on a pillow or a yoga block to just decrease the angle of your hip rotation while you're doing this. One more stretch forward, heavying that knee, hinging forward from the hip. Yes, oh my goodness. Wonderful stretch. Bringing yourself up, and now we're gonna work on the back leg. So I've got a flexed foot. Fresh inhale, I exhale to rotate that heel up, and I'm feeling like this side is a little more challenging than the other side was. You might notice that one side has easier, greater mobility than the other. So squeezing the glute, lifting that heel up, rotating the hip forward to create this movement. Exhale, lifting up, rotating that hip. Yeah, and just hanging in there and breathing through that. Exhale. Good, stand up for one more breath. Working through this, and last time here. Lifting that foot up, rotating that hip forward. It is a lot of work. Really open on the hip front here. And releasing down. Great work, excellent work. Let's go ahead and move to 4-point kneeling. And as soon as we find ourselves in this 4-point kneeling pose, I want you to resist away from the mat and create some work by pushing up out of the mat. Now we're gonna go into some hip circles. So just imagine that whole lumbopelvic area rotating around, leaning off to the side and the back and the other side and front. So it should feel fairly nice through the glutes and even the low back. Rotating around. Excellent work. Good, and you could be small, you could be making these circles smaller or bigger. We're gonna reverse the rotation, other direction. There's the option of starting off smaller, and then as you warm up, kind of increasing that range of motion by making a bigger circle. The hips press out further in each direction. So definitely creating some interesting stretches through the hips and glutes and the whole lumbopelvic area here. And landing back in center. I'm gonna take my knees apart and my feet are together. I'm gonna slide back into a child's pose with wide knees, reaching my arms forward, and then I'm gonna bring myself forward with my arms, raise the feet, drop the pubic bone to the mat, pressing back, big hinge at the hips as I press away. Good, I'm gonna pull myself forward, and then I'm gonna open up the hips and drop them down. So pubic bone touches, hip bones, it's a little harder to tell when the hip bones touch down. Good, big stretch at the hips here, big crease at the hips, sliding forward and opening the front of the hips. Try to keep those feet pressing together as you move through this motion. Good, shifting forward. Elbows could bend or stay straight, whatever feels good to you. But we're looking for a stretch on the front of the hips with some outward rotation in the knees. And one more time, we slide ourselves back, We bring ourselves forward, and if you feel good, you can hang out in this position just for a little bit, maybe working on increased stretch and mobility, rotating the knees out, pressing the heels together, getting that pubic bone heavy, and sliding yourself back again. All right, so coming into a downward dog, I'm gonna narrow up my knees, tuck my toes under, and raise those hips high. Bringing those heels down feels nice, a nice stretch. I'm gonna shift my weight forward to plank, and then I'm gonna take a knee and plant it right between my two wrists. From here, I'm gonna try to get heavy into this left hip by walking my long leg back and away, and I'm pressing up through my arms here. So it's another internal rotation for my front leg and hip, and that back leg gets a nice open stretched hip flexor stretch. Good, and if we feel comfortable and able to do a little bit more, we can bring the forearms down, and the lower you get, you want to kind of make sure your chest is centered right over that kneecap. And as you can get lower, feel free to melt down to the ground. Once you're down heavy to the floor, as low as you can go, we're gonna get a couple breaths here. Good, so you're just gonna notice this is a little bit of a different stretch for your hip. We've been working on more outward rotation. This is more of a inward rotation of the hip. So that's gonna feel a little bit differently. You're gonna feel the glutes stretch along with it. Working in mobility in all directions. Good, bring those palms back up. Tuck the toes under. We're gonna go ahead and raise up to plank, reach the legs back, and find your downward dog again. Quick stretch here, and then we're gonna slide forward to plank. Let's take the other leg forward, land it right between your wrists, and then the leg that's long behind you, we try to work it out extra long, lengthening it as far as possible, and then pressing up through the palms of our hands, lifting our chest, getting heavy over this hip. Good, so finding that hip flexor stretch on the lengthened back side, and then here we've got that internal rotation of the knee and thigh, giving us a different stretch in this hip. We might be able to work the forearms down. Good, and hanging out here, trying to just heavy and center yourself over your front knee. And then the further I get down, I want to try to square up the center of my chest with my knee. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring it down a little bit lower if I can, and try to make a connection between my chest and my thigh. And we get a couple of breaths here. Excellent work. Palms back to the mat. Tuck those toes under, way back behind you. Raise yourself up to downward dog, and we'll just push through the heels a few times, looking for a nice stretch. Dropping the chest. Raising those hips high, feeling the hamstrings. Good, and bringing yourself down. Good, shoulders heavy, palms resting down, knees are bent. We're gonna start off with a tail tuck. So we inhale to start in neutral spine. We're gonna exhale to sink the belly button, tuck the tail under, and tip the pubic bone up. Good, so we're not bridging, we're just doing a tail tuck, and we're gonna release the tail back down. It should feel like your low spine is peeling up away from the mat, one vertebra at a time, squeezing the glutes at the top, and then releasing back down one vertebra at a time. Fresh inhale in neutral, exhale to tail tuck, peel and lift that pubic bone up, hollow out the belly, deflate the tummy, squeeze the glutes, release it back down. One more tail tuck, just like this. Shoulders get to relax, exhale to tuck and peel, and press through the heels to tuck the tail a little bit deeper, squeeze those glutes, and release back down. Good, so we've been practicing the start of a bridge. Now we're gonna take our right leg, cross it over our left knee. We've created the figure 4 shape. Right now our hips are even, and as we bridge up, we're gonna try to keep the hips even. Fresh inhale. Exhale to tail tuck, just like we've been practicing before, and we peel those hips up. So it's a little bit more challenging to raise the hips in our figure 4 shape. I'm glad we've previously stretched this hip joint, otherwise I'm not sure if I'd be able to do this. Lifting those hips as high as we can, trying to keep them even, and lowering the spine back down. We've got 3 more and we might go a little bit quicker. Exhale to tail tuck, peel, and lift those hips up as high as we can. Good, and we're gonna lower that shape back down. Exhale to tuck and peel and lift and keep those hips even and rotate that knee out and hold. Good. And it's our last one here. Exhale to tuck and peel and lift and squeeze. Good. Rotating that knee out and bringing it all back down. Hug that knee into your chest really quick. Other side. And let's go ahead and prepare for the figure 4 shape bridging on the other side. Fresh inhale and neutral. Exhale to tail tuck and peel and lift your spine up. Keep that knee rotated out. Keep those hips even. That one hip wants to drop down. So I'm trying to lift it up, and that creates a little more strain on the hip joint. Releasing down. We'll go a little quicker on our last 3 here. Exhale to peel the spine and lift up into a bridge. Releasing the spine back down. And 2 more here. Exhale, tail tuck and peel and lift. Awesome. You can even press through the arms to help support yourself in your bridge. Keeping the connection between the 2 legs. Fresh breath. Exhale to peel and lift. And this is our last one. Beautiful work. Keep those hips high. Can you raise them any higher? And release it down. Excellent work. We can uncross those legs, and we're going to find happy baby pose. So I'm grabbing the arch of my foot with the palm of my hand, and it's an easy place to hold on. It's a big bend of the hip joint, a big hip crease, and the knees are about 90 here. We could do a little side-to-side rock and play with this move just a little bit. It's another big hip release, another big hip stretch. From here, if we want to, we could press out to a big straight leg straddle. This is going to stretch our hamstrings a little bit more. Good, and if that's not accessible, we can bend in, find a different part of our leg to hold on to press out for the big straddle. Maybe behind our knee might be a good place to hold on for that long reaching straddle legs. Bending back in, grabbing those heels for a little rock. Good, and maybe one more time, stretching those legs out into a big straddle. Good, let's hug those knees in close to our chest. Great work today. I hope you're feeling those endorphin-like releases after all the stretching we've done. It feels good just to sit and breathe here for a moment. Rocking yourself up to seated. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're feeling the benefits of a great hip stretch and release workout. Feel free to share comments or suggestions for future workouts. Feel free to share my channel with a friend or subscribe. See you next time.